Welcome to Better Together, the podcast. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Paige. We're here to get real, raw, and vulnerable about topics like holistic health, emotional well-being, parenting, and entrepreneurship.
We're not your average small-town girls. Join us on this adventure as we tear down the walls of insecurity and self-doubt so we can rewrite what it means to live an authentic life.
This podcast is built on 20 years of friendship. And when we tell you we've been through it all together, I promise you it's true. From motherhood, grief, marriage, divorce, ×2, starting our businesses, and everything in between. We're here to share our stories so that you know you're never traveling this journey alone.
So buckle up, get ready, and join us because no matter what this life brings, we're always
better together. We are back.
Hi.
Hello. It has been a minute. It has been a minute. We obviously have gone through some changes. We actually, changed calendar years. So yes. 2024, here we are. Obviously, we just recently announced that Real Talk has now become Better Together, the podcast.
Yay!
So we will still have the video option on our YouTube channel, but we are so happy to be able to bring to you a podcast version of our conversations. So
you can take us in the car with you or wherever you go. You can take us with you that way.
You're welcome.
Just what you wanted.
It's everything you ever wanted, to hear us in your ears as you do
constantly
whatever it is you do. So going into this new year, starting this new adventure, we wanted to kind of switch things up a little bit. And so we're going to start our episodes, our conversations with the notion of be where your feet are. And so we're going to kind of turn into a little bit of a question. And so be where your feet are. Okay. Tell me, how are you feeling mentally, physically, emotionally right now, where your feet are at in this moment?
Okay, do we have time for that? Honestly, as soon as we hit record, I was like, I feel a little bit like a rookie again. A little nervous. I mean, that's okay. It's okay to be a little nervous. So yeah, I'm feeling a little shy, a little nervous, but also excited. And I'm feeling really good that we finally get to record on our new couch.
Yes. Instead of on the floor.
Yeah. Emotionally, I feel good. I'm glad we had a good little conversation before we started. And so having a little bit of that release, mentally, I did have the thought of I made these plans to record when I was ovulating, and I am no longer ovulating.
That's no longer the case.
So there's a little bit of that, but no, I'm excited, a little nervous, just kind of all the things, but grateful to be here.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, your turn.
All right, be where my feet are. I currently am extremely emotional today. I've cried like 3 times. Physically, first day of my period. So emotional, but a little bit tired.
Yeah.
A little bit crampy, but nothing too major. I've been doing an intuitive fasting for the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I've been eating much better and doing the fasting, I think has kind of helped with any of those PMS symptoms that sometimes would creep in whenever I wasn't eating very well. So mentally, I am feeling pretty clear.
Good.
I am feeling pretty clear. So I love that. I am excited for this. I have been dying for us to just get back to these conversations because I feel I feel like we have so much fun with it and it feels so cathartic. Yes. Super excited. And that's it. That's where I'm at today.
I love it. I think today we're going to kind of update you guys quickly on the last few months, the end of 2023, and what we've been doing in January.
Yeah, because we straight up dipped.
Yeah.
We out. We straight up dipped on you guys. And so apologize for that. Yeah. But I think it was really us. We both, I think, took with the end of 2023 had to take a step back from so many things. And it wasn't even intentional. It was literally just like we would even put in our calendar like, okay, we're going to record.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to plan. And then
it didn't happen.
Yeah, we would just like look at each other in the moment and we would be like, I can't. Yeah. Or I think we just need to like sit down and have a best friend conversation for 2 hours instead of sharing it with the world. And so I think that's something for us to be proud of because we didn't force ourselves.
Yeah. No, we didn't put anything out that was forced or that wasn't authentic, because at the end of the day, that was the point of creating Real Talk, was to be authentic and have authentic conversations. And sometimes we just don't have it in us to show up in the way that we want and the way that we desire. Sometimes we just have to have like a good, best friend day or a day to ourselves, or just be really, really honest with where we're at. And I think one of the things that we stand for is, having our self-trust and honoring where we're at. Like if you're constantly going against what you need to do, that's going to create friction. So just kind of like leaning into honoring where we're at. And for the end of December, we weren't here.
Yeah.
Not mentally or emotionally, at least. So we just had to honor that.
Yeah. Be where your feet are.
Yeah.
And so, for me, the end of 2023 came with some super exciting news. As most of you who listen know, or follow me on Instagram, Facebook, I was living in a trailer on my parents' property, the family farm I grew up on. And around Thanksgiving, we got some exciting news that we were going to be moving. And there's like a whole cute story behind that, but we'll save that for another time. But anyways, we moved. So holidays, crazy in the salon, holidays in general, getting ready for Christmas, all of the stuff. And then, a move on top of it. And let me tell you something about myself. When something like that comes up, when there's a job to be done like that, like packing, painting, cleaning, moving, unpacking, all the things, I have this, I don't know if it's considered a talent or a toxic trait.
My lips are sealed.
When I see the light at the end of the tunnel, there's no like, okay, let's pace ourselves. This is why I'm not a good runner. There was no like, let's pace ourselves. It's like dead sprint.
Bulldoze.
Dead sprint to the end, and then crumble, and a part of me dies.
I mean, like I had like texted of, let me know when you need help, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, well, I've got everything clean. I've got everything painted. I was like, the shit. I'm sorry. I was not present for that because I was not aware that you were already to that point.
I didn't know you did that in 12 hours.
Like, all right.
Literally New Year's weekend, that Saturday, painted with a couple of like my mom and my dad was doing other work on the house. And then our friend Mandy was helping me paint. Macy's dad was there. Like Presley's dad was like moving stuff that I still had in his attic. Like literally team effort. But it was like 7 hours of painting that Saturday, 6 hours of painting that Sunday, 5 hours of painting that Monday. And I was just like cross-eyed by the end of it. But we got moved and we are so, so excited. I literally, by the time we got moved that next day that I woke up, I just sat on the couch and cried because I was so grateful and just so happy. This is a house that I actually owned before. And Macy and I had lived there for a few years, a house that we loved. And so just like coming back to it was like a real full circle moment for us. And so it was super emotional and exciting. And so, that's my end of 2023 update, life shift there, but very exciting one. And so, it was definitely not, I was very much in like mom mode, moving mode, life mode, and not into like creative mode.
Well, and I think, once we hit those winter months, like, and we'll kind of probably talk a little bit more about this, but like that expectation of creating and like planting seeds, like it's just not the right time. You got to follow nature. Like winter is a time, it's supposed to be a time of rest. Doesn't always happen, but it's just that time where you have to kind of surrender, Paige's favorite word, to life. And, you know, with holidays, and it just can be so crazy. And sometimes we try to force things, but I also was not feeling very creative. November, I was sick for most of the, and it wasn't like terrible, but it was cough and chest, I mean, it was like I would feel a little bit better, and then I would kind of fall back to not feeling well. So most of November I was not feeling well, and creating was not happening. Coaching was about the most that I could do with my clients. And then early December, very, very unexpectedly, we lost my uncle. And that was really, really difficult. It was very unexpected. And he and my dad lived together. This is my dad's brother. And so very close ties there. He was a very, very sweet man, had his demons, which we all do. And so, it was just it was very, very heavy. I had a lot of guilt, with losing him, a lot of grief, which is to be expected. But it just, anytime you lose somebody, it's hard. But I think, you know, just during those months of winter and holidays, it just can be a lot. And my grandma, this is her second son that she's lost. So, you know, that's difficult to see her go through. She's, you know, also lost her husband. So it was just a lot. It was very heavy. And through that, this bubbling sensation, I was starting to feel very, very stressed and very stuck. It probably started the end of October, you know, November getting sick, and then December, you know, trying to be there for my dad, and just witnessing him grieve, having my own grief. It was a lot, but I was just feeling so tight, so stuck, so overwhelmed. Like there was no light at the end of the tunnel, like just kind of, you know, tiptoeing into that little bit of darkness. But by the end of December, I really opened myself up, and which kind of led to a really great January, which we'll kind of get into. But the end of December was a little rough for me, was rough for my family. But you know, those are the times that you kind of lean on your loved ones, lean on friends. And, so it was hard. It was sucky. It's not how you want to end your year. But it's also part of life sometimes, unfortunately. Yeah. So it was a stressful, heavy time period. And what I kind of realized going into January is I had just kind of balled myself up into this little stress ball. And when you do that, there is no light that can get in. There is no light that can flow through you. The negative, the bad juju can't flow out of you. And so for me, it was finding a release, relaxing my shoulders, opening myself up, doing a lot of work to do that, where I could allow the good and bad to flow in and out. And so stepping into January was a much lighter tone for me because of some of the work I did at the end of December. Yeah,
I love that. I love that you were able to hold space for your family and hold space for yourself, even if it didn't feel good.
Yeah.
You know, because then that leads you to, when you just hold space sometimes, then it's like, okay, now I'm setting myself up to be able to like hold space to like release some of this like angst that I'm feeling, this tension that I'm feeling, and, you know, kind of like move through it. I mean, the only way out is through.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only way out is through. And it's when we recognize that, it's when we fully understand that we can find some comfort within the discomfort.
Yeah, because, and I love how you said that, the only way out is through, because that's literally opposite is how I survived, or thought I was surviving most of my life. I would become stuck in it, you know, in my own grief that I've, you know, been in for 13 years. In any kind of stress and any kind of overwhelm, I did not move through it. I became stuck in it. And so learning what that means for me, how I need to move through it, has been such a different way of living and breathing and like being able to show up and be where my feet are planted because of allowing that space, making space for all of those good and bad feelings.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is why, like, both of us going through stressful things on very different spectrums is what kind of led us to the same page, though, in the month of January.
Yeah.
Because we both went into January in a very, like, introspective place. I had, like, set the intention to really ease into the year. I normally in the past had really sat down and done a lot of intention setting around that specific date, journaling, reflecting, all of this. And I really allowed my reflection of 2023 and my intention setting for 2024 to last almost the entire month of January. And I think that was so helpful for me. I only did one astrology reading at the beginning of the month, and then I did a Cosmic Kids reading at the end of the month. So I only had 2 astrology readings. I still was doing hair, but, like, I was not pushing myself to create, to promote, to market, to do all of those things. We had taken a step back from this. And yeah, it was just like, okay, I need to ease. I need to find ease. That was, like, my word for January. It was, like, easeful. Like, how can I make this transition easeful? Because reflection does take time, you know, especially if we're doing it and not just going through the motions.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, how can I reflect on this and actually witness what I learned?
Yeah.
How can I reflect on this and, like, actually see how I grew?
Yeah.
How can I reflect on this and, like, really appreciate it and honor it? And so I feel like we both did a really good job of that in January, and just kind of surrendering to it and allowing it to be. And then, you know, when the time felt right, setting the intentions, making the vision boards, like doing those things to get us excited. But yet, even with that, it was like setting the intentions, but still not taking action. Because like you said, you know, we are meant to live with the seasons, and we're not meant to be in, like, that fast-paced summer, go energy all the time. You know, in the fall, the leaves, they fall away from the trees so that they don't weigh down the branches. The fall is a time of release. It's a time of, like, you know, really letting things go that no longer serve us. And then winter is that, it is, like, creative, but it's, like, you know, internal. It's like the internal, like, planting of the seeds. What do I want to create? How do I want to feel this year?
Yeah.
What intentions do I want to set? But it doesn't have to necessarily mean taking action.
Yeah. I kept telling my clients, it's the season of hibernation.
Yeah.
Like, hibernating, like, really going within yourself and seeking the insight from the year, seeking the insight of what your body is trying to tell you in this moment. It is not the time to plant seeds. And we have this big notion around January 1st and New Year's resolutions. And I used to subscribe to that. I'm not saying I've always been this way, but I was so determined to, like, preach to people and get it out there that January 1st is not the time to set super big goals. It's just not. It is, planting seeds are supposed to be in spring, but having that insight and those intentions and going within yourself, that is different. But when you set those really big goals January 1st, 9 times out of 10 in a couple weeks, you kind of fall off. And the reason you do is because it's still winter. Like, you're still supposed to be hibernating. But people, you know, there's shame around that, and there's negativity around when you fall off those New Year's resolutions. And so I think for us, both of us going into January and sharing with our audiences too, you know, this time of reflection, of taking it slow and soft. And I called January my buffer month. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not taking action. But I did end up having more fun in what I was sharing. Yeah. And that has continued into February. It made those things more exciting and more authentic because I wasn't just trying to take action. I wasn't trying to do these things that I thought I was supposed to do. It was just kind of letting it flow, which is kind of my word, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. And so Yeah, it's like living with the seasons is so important. And that's just something that I've leaned into more this year than I ever have.
Yeah. It's almost like a preparing the soil. Like,
Yeah,
you know, it's like you're preparing the
nurturing.
soil. You're preparing the soil to begin, like, planting your seeds so that they can start to bloom in, like, the spring and the summer. And, you know, honoring, like, when it comes down to it, it's like honoring yourself.
Yeah.
Like, honoring yourself and, like, where you're at along that path. And there's going to be times where winter lasts a lot longer for you. There's going to be times where winter you don't need that much winter, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's just, like, so important to be able to, like you were saying, like, the shame, because when we're in winter months, especially in the Midwest, when it's gloomy for weeks, we're all just like, you know, we dread it and we talk so much shit about it. And it's like, why don't we just appreciate it? Like, why can't we just, like, try our best to appreciate what it's giving us?
Yeah.
It's forcing us to slow down. It's forcing us to take our time. It's forcing us to, you know, really
To get
be
cozy.
at home, to
Yeah.
get cozy, to do that internal work. And, you know, instead of, again, like, shaming ourselves for that, shaming ourselves, like, we need to rest, we need rejuvenation, we need that time, and instead of shaming ourselves for it, really honoring it, really honoring that is going to allow us to be able to show up, you know, when it starts getting warmer, when the sun starts to shine, much, much better.
That's what I was going to say. If you want to be productive, if you do have these really big goals and dreams, that's great. This will allow you to show up for those things in a such better light where you're not going to burn out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you can't, like, create anything in the winter months or anything like that. But it just means that, like, you know, you're probably not going to be creating as much. And that's okay. You know, allowing yourself to just, like, move through that with more grace and ease for yourself than, like, the shame and, you know, that lack mindset and things like that. Because it can get really, like, sticky. And so I feel like we did a really good job in January of not getting into the sticky.
Yeah.
You know, like,
this is probably the best that I've ever felt starting the year, because in the past, and it's been a while, but I remember, like, January 1st, like, just looking, like, I'm literally living the same year over and over. Like, I feel stuck. Like, it was, but because there wasn't a whole lot changing internally at that time. But starting off my year with, like, no pressure and just allowing myself to take it day by day felt so good. Like, it was so refreshing.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'm very proud.
I
Proud of starting the year that way.
I mean, it is, and it's felt really good. It's felt really nice. To take the time and to do that. And then we ended up, you know, we waited a few weeks. It was probably, like, 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I can't remember. It was well into January.
Yeah. Like,
and we got together with our families and we created vision boards, and, like, we spent a Sunday afternoon.
It was so fun.
Yeah. Just, like, printing stuff off Pinterest, and the girls were getting into it, and it was, like, I don't know. It was just, like, super cute. I mean, Presley obviously had, like, she had a cow, a big ball gown, and a microphone, like a girl singing in a microphone on her vision board. But, like, she loved it, and it's hanging in her room. And, you know, for us to be able to, like, do that with our kids, I think is super special. You know, Macy was with her dad that weekend, so, like, he joined in on it. Rudy was there. So then, like, them being able to see their dads, like...
Yeah.
It's, like...
Getting into it,
Yeah, focusing on those dreams and doing it in a fun way to, like, put it into a visual. I love vision boards. That they're just, like, totally my vibe.
It's beautiful because while you're teaching yourself, you're also teaching your kids. It's okay to have, like, really big dreams.
Yeah.
And small dreams. Like, just to put it out, like, anything that you can think of that you, like, that's what anything you can think of that you want, that you desire, that you want to do, that you want to experience.
We both have kayaking on our vision boards. And, like, that's something that literally, like, we both know people with kayaks.
Yeah, we could do, but we haven't done it yet. But we want to. So we put it, you know, you put it out there. Actually, it was funny because we ended up with the same picture without realizing it. But it was really beautiful because explaining it to our girls. I know you did it with your girls last year. I hadn't done it with mine. So just kind of explaining, you know, a vision board is just, it's for you to dream. Like, you should always dream. don't worry about the how. Mm-hmm. That's something that I've just been talking a lot about with my clients too, because that's when our brain gets tripped up, and that's when we stop ourselves. Just put it out there.
Yeah.
You never know. But when you close yourself off to that and you think of how is this going to happen? How is this going to work? When is it going to happen? Then you're just shutting it off. You're going to close yourself off to any opportunities that may present itself to you. And so just like being super, super open to any of those desires that you have. I had kayaking, a really, really cozy office. Coziness is something that I'm really like leaning in towards this year. I have like a really cozy reading nook. Like it's like real warm. It's a big like chair and blanket that I really loved. A bathtub that I was like, oh, this is coziness. Candles. What else did I have? Oh, like photo shoot, a real confident, badass photo shoot. And the photographer that I would love to work with, that's on there. Unstoppable, my group program that I've been working on behind the scenes, mostly in my brain, that I'm starting to slowly create. Yoga connection, friends, like girlfriends.
Yeah.
Connect, like a holding hands connection for Rudy and I, my husband. I have this one picture of this girl that she radiates joy. It was just like this joy and this easiness. So I was really looking for pictures of cozy, easiness, flow, and connection. Connection is a really big one for me too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what all else is on there.
I love it.
Well, like with confidence too. There's like cozy and then there's like confident and edgy.
Yeah, I love that. I love like the duality of all of that. And I think it's important too, which I talk to Macy about this a lot, is because obviously as an astrologer, I can deep dive into many different things, but learning about astrology and then now also learning about human design, I think it's really important to know what kind of a manifestor you are. So that with the vision board, I think is kind of what I explained to Macy is an important piece, because if you're a non-specific manifestor, you need to focus on the feelings you want to create. Like the feeling you want to create out of your year, the feeling that you want to create out of your business, the feeling you want to create out of the connections that you make. And so I'm a non-specific manifestor. You're also a non-specific. But Macy is a specific manifestor. I think both my girls are specific. And so it's like telling her, get really specific about what you want. Get really specific about what you want. So she literally has like an iPhone, like a phone case. And, well, she's already got both of those this year. So that's great.
So she's a really strong.
She's really strong, specific manifestor. Really strong. But no, so like her knowing she's a specific manifestor, I'm like, if you get really clear about what you want.
I love that.
If you get really clear about what you want, it's going to come more easily. Whereas for me, if I can focus non-specifically and just on the feelings that I want to create, that's going to become more easeful for me. So I also put a lot of that kind of energy into my vision board. And so again, mine it had hiking, it had, increasing my yoga practice. Once again, kayaking, it had connections with friends, traveling, like a little wellness weekend. It was like these different pictures of like groups of women together, like in a cabin, drinking coffee, kind of just disappearing off the grid, very, just like intimate and cozy and warm and, all of that. I had, what else did I have? I had like a picture on there that to me embodied like feeling sexy and confident in my own skin. What else?
I know.
Writing, like starting to like, there was a picture, it was like one chapter at a time, starting to write my book, like starting to really put those ideas down on paper, like on my computer, first draft. That was one of them. I had a picture of a mom and a little girl dancing together. That's just like that easeful playfulness, that fun. So just like all kinds of different things. A lot of pictures of like people like women collaborating, sitting at like tables, having ideas kind of being tossed around, more astrology, you know, all of those things. So yeah, there was just a lot of like abundance. Like that was another one, like photos of what abundance meant to me.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that with everyone of abundance.
Yeah, abundance. We're in a collective year 8. Also, personally, we're both in a year 8. So it's all about abundance. But abundance can only come and show up if you know like what it is you're looking for. You know, if you're just kind of like aimlessly going, like there will be stuff that will like abundance will come, but it's when you get really specific, like really certain about like what you want to create that the abundance can flow more easily. Yeah. So that's like a whole life path number thing.
But yeah, the manifesting and being non-specific and leaning into that feeling. And I think I really love that. I mean, I think it would be very cool to be a specific manifester. But
I know, right? If I could specifically say what I want.
What I want. But I do love, like, the more that I have leaned into creating a feeling that I desire, the more it has come. And for me, what I really sat with was, what is a feeling that makes me feel best, that I operate at my best? And it is contentment. It's neutral. It's easy. It's cozy. That sort of feeling is when I am more productive. It is when I feel best. And so, like, opening myself up to how can I create that feeling? How can I create that feeling in my life? And that's what, you know, I put on my vision board, and we both put it on our computer screens. I have it on my phone screen. I mean, I want to see it all the time. And every time I look at it, I still feel excitement from it. I still feel inspired by it. In the past, you know, I've gone into like those goals of like, I don't know. It's just funny.
Hitting this number, this many followers. Like
I think a CEO mindset is like, what the hell did that even mean? You know what I mean? It was just things that I thought I should do as an entrepreneur, or just kind of going into this, you know, holistic and healing lifestyle. I thought, you know, making these certain goals, and it didn't work. But this feels so different because it's leaning into the energy that I want to feel and the energy that I want to put out into the world. And for me, feeling neutral, which sounds really boring, but it's, you know, I've had a lot of like ups and downs of circumstances in my life, and I can't control those. But if I can be content with myself, that's the best feeling for me. Yeah. And so going into that, we kind of were talking about our word for the year. And for me, my word is flow. And there's a lot to that. But like I said, at the end of December, feeling that restriction in me of just being tight in like this little ball is a way that I have lived a long time, and really doing a lot of journaling, a lot of meditation, trying to figure out what I needed. It came to me in a meditation of just like this vision of me just like completely like just like completely opening up, like a flower blossoming, of, you know, darkness, letting the light in, and just being completely open to allowing the surrender. Flow. Being completely open to allowing the good and bad to flow in and flow out. Like, when things get stuck, when those energetic blocks happen, you can't see the good, you can't see the light. And so just being able to go with the flow of life, go with the flow of nature, the flow of the circumstance, but not losing myself in that. And allowing that, having that capacity to be a part of the flow rather than constantly swimming against the current, because I feel like that's how I have lived a lot of my life. And so that has been really exciting of just having that sort of mindset every day. Like, I don't know. It feels really good.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, another thing that I had put on my vision board was, it's like this little, it was like a word quote, basically, and it has hustle scratched out, and it says align, which the mentorship that I'm also have been in for the last 4 or 5 months now, is called the Align Experience. And so, but it was, you know, it's like, I want to be in alignment. I want to be in alignment, and I want that like my business, the extension of me, to be in alignment with who I really am. And so kind of going into that, like the flow over force mindset. And for me, it came as the word consistency. And that seems kind of, you know, not consistency in a harsh way of scheduled or disciplined or anything like that, but consistent in my routines for myself, consistent in how I show up in my business online, not allowing fear to hold me back, you know, and so it's like consistent in my meditation practice, consistent in my yoga practice, consistent in, eating nourishing foods, like fueling my body well, that consistency of not allowing myself to succumb to that self-doubt, you know, and really, I don't know, shame myself for it. Allowing myself to be consistent in my feelings, you know, like, okay, I'm going to consistently honor this, even if it changes every single day. I'm going to be consistently honest. I'm going to be consistently pursuing this change and this new dreams and, you know, all of that. And so, yeah, consistency was a big thing for me, but also trust, you know, really, truly learning to trust myself, but to also trust, like, to trust in God, to trust the universe, to trust my spirit guides, you know, my guardian angels, that I am protected, that I am loved, and trust that even if I have nothing else, like, I have me, I have that. So yeah, consistency and trust have been two really big ones for me this year, and it just makes me excited to see what's going to come from it.
Yeah.
Even when it's hard. And I think that setting the intentions, making the vision boards, that's the fun part.
Yeah,
like, that's the exciting part. But it's actually integrating it into our lives where it can sometimes feel harder. But I think that we just have to honor the fact that we are human. You know, we're going to fall short sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be some times where I'm not consistent. And that's okay. But what I do know is that being aware enough of it, having that vision board sitting on my altar that I sit in front of every single day, that I will choose to stand back up. I will choose consistency again, you know, despite what is going on in my life. And so I think that that's important for us to honor, that we do recognize that we are human. We do recognize that it's not going to be seamless. No. But we do know that having the awareness around it and taking the time to set the intentions in a joyful way, not a shameful way, even in like the littlest, tiniest little things and little ways, it really just can set you up for joy in the year.
Absolutely.
When we get to go on that kayaking trip and we're just like sitting out there in nature and like,
and we'll have like cute photos.
Yeah.
It'll be like a good photo.
Such cute little photos of us out there.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Chilling and doing our thing.
I think that's why it feels so good, like the setting intentions and leaning into the energy, because for me, there's not like failure involved.
Yeah.
You know, for me, failure means like I just stopped trying, and that's just not what I'm, you know, in regards to my business or certain things. It's like, that's not going to happen. And setting these intentions and seeking this energy, this beautiful atmosphere that we want to create, there's no failing in that. Like, yeah, there are some, I mean, I've already had days that I'm not in the flow because there are people who are pissing me off. But it's, you know, I don't get down on myself, where before with these really big goals that I didn't hit, you know, every single month I would come up short. It was like, there's shame in that. There's failure in that. And I don't feel that. And I think it has a lot to do with the way that we stepped into the year and looking at it from just a really different lens of.
Yeah. And I also think that it comes from a place of a place of alignment. It comes from a place of alignment because we are these goals that we've set, these intentions, these feelings that we are desiring to create in our life, in our business, with our kids, you know, for you with your partner. They are in alignment with who we really are. And we know who that is more now than we ever have versus in years past where we're setting goals like, oh, I want to weigh this. Oh, I want to work out this much. Oh, I want to make this much money.
Based off of
all of these societal standards, this external validation instead of how we want to feel in our life based on who we are. And that's the biggest difference. When you're making New Year's resolutions because you want to be able to feel good about who you are externally out in the world or whatever validation it is that you might be desiring, when you can flip that script and be like, okay, I'm going to set an intention for how I want to feel or what I want to create or what I want to do, even if that's just travel, even if that's just read 10 minutes a day. No matter how little it is, if you're doing that based on who you are and the alignment that you have within, like that's going to be so much more powerful than searching for validation somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're doing these things to find contentment. You're doing these things to create peace in your life, even if they are hard or even if they do bring up uncomfy feelings sometimes. You know, being an entrepreneur, I just like constantly diving into uncomfortable feelings.
It's just a joke, really.
It's like,
why did I
we
set
just
it up?
like signed up for the healing work all the time.
But no, it is so true. The difference is like living in and towards alignment, constantly seeking that. And I think when you step into that, when you have that different lens, it really is so much more freeing. And I think people assume it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I think when you aren't living in that or you're fearful of stepping into that, because I've been there, you think it's going to be like opposite of freeing. You think it's going to be restriction or scary or uncomfortable. There is discomfort, but it's discomfort and then like freeing. Yeah. It's hard to describe.
The only way out is through.
Yeah, we talked about that before or during this.
Yes.
During this. I can't remember.
Okay.
Sorry. But yes. Anyway, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it's just super powerful. It's super powerful when you shift the perspective in which you set intentions for your year and how that transpires. Like, I think we also, too, it's like setting these intentions, but also being open to whatever is meant for us.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I literally wrote in my journal this morning, it was like, I trust the timing of my life. I trust what is meant for me will find me. I trust that, you know, I am where I'm meant to be when I'm meant to be there. And, you know, I see angel numbers all the time, like, constantly. And I don't know, it's just like those little reminders that it's like, hey, you're doing all right.
Yeah.
Hey, you're in alignment. Hey, you know, your intuition is like on right now, whatever it is. But just being aware and allowing life to unfold in the time it's meant to unfold rather than pushing it, forcing it. And I think both of us too that's been a huge lesson.
Oh, yeah.
Because we want to, you know, we grew up going through our 20s with that whole hustle culture, which we've talked about in the past. We grew up with very, very, you know, hardworking dads. Yeah. You know, that productivity, you know, that's something that they built their lives, you know, not from much. Yeah. You know, and so it's like now we're in a different generation. We're in a different life. We're in very different businesses. Yeah.
Productivity is not an 80-hour week. I can promise you.
Yeah. It's like, let me tell you, I ain't going to be very productive if I put in that many hours. I promise. Yeah. We're going to work smarter, not harder.
100%.
But yeah, so I think that in that, you know, we've really been able to learn and hold each other accountable when we're trying to force. Yeah. Rather than flow. When we're like, okay, I want to do this and I want to create this or I want to sign up for this or whatever it is. And we hold space for that. We hold space for that energy and that time. But I feel like we're really good at offering the reminders. But like, hey.
We ask good questions to each other.
Yeah, maybe we need to take a beat. Like, just sit with it. Feel it out. Yeah. You know, whatever it may be. And so I think that that's been another lesson in all of this easefulness because even the easefulness of January, as great as it was, I still had moments where I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I need to be doing something. I feel like maybe I should just make a list or, you know,
and
whatever.
Then she would come into my office to tell me that she feels like she should be doing something.
And she'd be like, I need you to leave right now.
Take that juju somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
But yeah, and that is a good point. It's like, again, these intentions.
I was going to say, or you sign up for, and you asked to get an astrology reading with clear answers.
I wanted I was seeking a very specific date. Like, just like cut and dry. I'm like, I want to know when I should release this group program. And what Paige told me was, you should do some inner child healing. Nobody signs up for that.
So see, again,
that was not what I was seeking.
We're holding each other accountable just in different ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, I was just like laughing about it because like her face when like I started pulling cards and she's just like, what? Mm-hmm. No.
Or when you text me and I'll be like, do you want me to be a friend or do you want me to coach you?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think it is great to have these things and have people that can hold space for you and hold you accountable with love and grace and kindness. You know, not somebody who is like gonna put you down or like the shame spiral, but somebody who is just going to hold space for you, but show you love and compassion. I think that's really important.
Yeah, I agree. So, you know, kudos to us for doing that for each other.
So even though it's February, if you haven't made a vision board, I would say go for it. If you want, and send us pictures of it or tell us what it is. I think.
Even on like, you can do those like on, like your Instagram story. Like I saw a thing the other day. It was like going to Pinterest and like typing in my vibe. Oh. And then it's like you're supposed to like save the top ones or whatever.
That's cool.
I did it yesterday. I just like searched it and they were pretty spot on.
That's cool.
You can make it even easier for yourself. If you have Pinterest, go to the search bar, type in my vibe, screenshot it, send it to us.
Yeah.
On our brand new bettertogether.kp Instagram handle. We would love to see your vision boards.
Share it with us.
And, you know, if you, like, have a word for the year or an intention for the year, we'd love to hear that as well.
Yeah, send us that. Or if you need help coming up with one, we'd love to help you. Just send us a message there as well because, I like helping people brainstorm.
At the end of the day, doing all of this, creating all of this, setting all of these intentions, at the end of the day, we're always better when we do it together.
Exactly.
So, thank you guys so much once again for listening. We love you. Yeah. Here's to 2024. Thanks for listening to Better Together, the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to catch episodes the first and third Friday of every month.
Don't forget to hop on Instagram and follow us at bettertogether.kp.
See you next time.